Can we all agree that we have a housing shortage? Can we all agree that we have an affordability issue? Do you guys all see the trend in build to rent? Do you guys see the trend in people having to rent because they can't afford to buy? Let's also talk about our current stat in the industry. Raise your hands if you guys are a loan officer. Raise your hand if you guys are real estate agents. Interesting statistic if you guys would have seen what I just saw. Very few loan officers and a lot of real estate agents. Now let's talk about that. Over the last 3 years, 400,000 loan officers have been dwindled down to about 100,000. We've lost, what, 2/3 of loan officers, licensed loan originators. Want to hear some other interesting stats? Yep, get used to getting punched in the face. What is this problem right here? What is this game? Do you guys see this game? Musical chairs. What's the point of musical chairs? There's not enough seats. For real estate agents in this room, if you guys are not adapting, let's look at these stats. There are 1.5 million real estate agents licensed here in the United States. There was 906 single-family listings, which represents 1.65 realtors for every one listing in America. Can I hear wow one more time? Thank you. Now here's an interesting stat. I never heard of this Arello, and I'm a broker, but that number is actually 3.3 licensed agents for every listed property, because remember, as a licensed real estate agent, there's a difference between a licensed real estate agent and a realtor, okay? You guys understand the difference? A realtor is a trademark by the National Association of Realtors, but a licensed real estate agent chooses not to be part of the board, it chooses not to be part of NAR. So based on the amount of licensed real estate agents, there's 3.3 listings, 3.3 agents for every single family home. To me, it's a mind-blowing stat. Look at housing permits. Slightly up. Now there's a difference between housing permits and housing starts. You guys following me? Single family authorization, we have 996 units virtually unchanged from December 2024. 9 units in building, we have 5 or more. In permitting, we have 427. Do you guys understand what our housing shortage is? There's 2 different parts to that. Number one, we have a housing shortage, meaning the amount that we need to bring to the market to meet our current demand. Then we have an even greater number of affordable units, okay? The affordable rental unit need is over 7 million. I've been talking about the lack of affordable housing for years on stage now. I think it was 4.8 million homes we were short back in 2019 or 2020, excuse me. We're going to talk about why that is here in a second. All right? Right now, according to HUD and a bunch of other stats, we need 1.6 million to 2 million homes, okay, or new units per year just to get caught up with our current demand. Raise your hands if you guys think that's possible. Not possible, and I'm going to explain to you why. First of all, if it was possible, we wouldn't have a housing shortage right now. 1.48 million new permits as of January 2025, which falls short of the needed pace. We have 1.48 million new permits. We need 1.6 to 2 million. Now, the difference between 1.48 and 1.6 may not seem like a lot. Do the math at how many hundreds of thousands of homes those are. 2 million, 1.8 permit starts. We need to build at least 1.8 million to 2 million homes per year. Not going to happen. Here's why. In the 1960s, we did an average of 9.3 million starts per decade, excuse me. In the 1970s, we increased to 11.4 million new construction starts for the 70s. In the 80s, 9.9 million. Remember the 80s? We had the major interest rate increase. Interest rates jumped up to 18, 20%. Significant slowdown in our markets. Guys, I'm a data nerd, okay? In the 90s, we had 11 million starts, and when dead people were getting mortgages in the 2000s, we had 12.3 million. So when we had loose lending guidelines and dead people getting mortgages, we had our biggest boom at 12.3 million. You guys following me? What happened between 2000s and 2010? The recession. What happened with the recession? Skilled labor left the workforce. You had roofers that are now selling insurance. They never went back to the construction industry. Why? Because there was no construction industry. 2007, 2008 hit. How long before you started seeing the market stabilizing, guys? Years. Years. which means you had years of no new starts. You guys tracking me? All right, so the oversupply that we had in the 2000s was quickly absorbed, okay, by investors that were able to purchase properties for next to nothing because of our global financial crisis. We're at 6.8 million starts in the 2010s. We are significantly behind schedule. With that said, we are becoming a nation of renters. The cost has gone through the roof. Interest rates are high. We're 50 years behind the UK. If you want to track our US market, try to track other markets. Again, I'm a data nerd. I like to look at certain things. We're 50 years behind the UK. We're becoming a nation of renters. And we're going to talk about, by the way, do you know who the largest landlords in America are?
Mom and pops.
Yes. A lot of people say institutional investors. Institutional investors are crushing right now. They're buying hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of homes. But you hit it right on the head. There's problems everywhere, guys. Can we all agree that we all have problems at some level of life? All right? Business is not easy. Hiring employees is not easy. Training employees is not easy. Firing employees is not easy. Dealing with your spouses isn't easy. Nothing's easy, right? So choose your hard. I'd rather choose my hard on something that's going to make me money. And I like this little stat. If you rearrange the words in depression, you'll get I pressed on. Don't fact check me there. I Googled that. So we're going to play a little Pulp Fiction. What am I doing right now, guys? We are doing massive land development deals across the country. We have over 4,000 lots in our pipeline. We have subdivisions that are going up. We are selling to DR. We are selling to Lennar. We are selling to everyone, as well as we're doing our own subdivisions. Everything from small scale to large scale. My largest scale right now is 1,800 homes. That's going to generate a lot of cha-ching. And I like that. I like that sound. All right? I share this because we're going to eventually get to what we're doing here. Raise your hands, by the way, if you're a general contractor in this room. 1, 2, 3. Everyone here, by the way, you're going to be everyone's best friend after this evening. I want 25%. That's a gift. So right now we've got 4,000 lots in our pipeline. We've got luxury builds we're doing. I got self-storage facilities going on across the country. Sorry, this thing's not working at my pace. Marshall Ranch we just closed out. That's our subdivision in Van Alstyne, Texas. We have our single-family new construction builds. What I'm going to discuss right now, in a moment, is there a laser here? Yeah. You guys see this? Well, this center section right here, this single-family new construction build, I'm going to break down one deal, and I want you guys to see how one deal can scale up. Okay? Now you guys can see everything I'm doing. Whenever this thing wants to move on. We have our land entitlement division. We have our mortgage debt portfolio. Remember, as I mentioned, our mortgage debt fund is what gets funneled into our lendprivatemoney.com platform. All right, so how did I get started doing all this? I was talking to somebody outside that was talking to me about some big deal, and I just said, start with one house at a time. How to get started. Now you guys heard that, in my infinite wisdom, I had a kid at a young age. But I'm an overachiever, so I didn't have one, I had 4 boys. So when I first started wanting to get involved in real estate investment, and I sat in one of these chairs, I said, man, I can't wait to do my first flip. Raise your hands if you guys ever been in that situation. I hope so. This is a Real Estate Investors Association. You guys don't flip houses here? Man, you guys got to get involved here. So I guess I'm the only one that wanted to flip a house. All right? HGTV, it didn't affect anybody, just me. Okay, got it. So I remember saying, I can't wait to flip my first house. And you guys know that feeling if you guys did that. It's like, wow, I did this, right? Whether it was successful or it wasn't, it was a learning curve. Okay? Then I did another one. Then I did another one. And I hate to say this, but I started losing my passion for flipping houses when I got mentorship, and I realized that in order for me to grow and turn this into a proper business, I got to scale. And I got to think of McDonald's. And McDonald's, I can have a cheeseburger here, I can have a cheeseburger there, it tastes the same, which means that my creative juices started kind of going out of the window because I started using the same floors, the same paint, the same countertops, and it became a business. I stopped doing that HGTV because it wasn't as profitable. okay? But it all started off with I can't wait to do my first flip. Then it started with, I can't wait to do my first rental. I can't wait to get my first cash flow in property. Then I said, man, I would love to do a neighborhood. I can't wait to do my first subdivision. That's some big boy shit, excuse me, but that's some big boy stuff. And then I did that. But how to start? I got to build one house before I can do a neighborhood. So I named my first model after my oldest son, Matthew. Right now, you guys understand that Blackstone was the first to create a securitized rental-backed security pool. You guys understand that? You guys heard that a couple years ago? The same way. They took pools of rental properties, they securitized, they created another security instrument, almost like residential mortgage-backed securities or commercial-backed securities or CDO, well, it's more complicated there. They created a RMBS, residential-backed security, and it's outperforming other asset classes. Here's what's interesting. For most investors in this room at scale, you can't put money into the marketplace and expect a lower return because we're active investors. For the most part, we're active investors. We need a larger return. Unless you are investing passively, because an extra $200 a month per property or $300 a month per property may not move the needle, but if you're structuring your finances the right way and you know you have X amount of years till retirement, a few rentals added to your portfolio every year is going to bridge the gap between what you have saved and what your shortfall is going to be. You guys following me? Gotcha. Right. So from a macro level point of view, when you're managing billions and billions and billions of dollars, hedge funds have created and understand that, wait a minute, if we buy thousands and hundreds of thousands of single family homes and we put them together and we offer our investor a 6% return and we get an 8.5% yield, we're making a couple points spread on billions of dollars. They can afford to do that. Light bulb, the birth of build to rent. Also, you have COVID. COVID has created this environment where people needed to get out of these apartment complexes. They needed houses. They got tired of people above and below them. They needed a backyard. Now people are building homes with office spaces built into it. And we can all agree that designs have evolved, especially if you guys have flipped homes. Realize that kitchens used to be in these square little sections in the back corner, and everyone wants an open concept. Right now, that's why the concept comes around. We have a split floor plan. Why? Because the parents don't want to be right next to the kids. Design evolves with time. To your point, you said it?
What's that?
Was it you who mentioned that mom and pop? You know what percentage of mom and pop owns? Let's look at these numbers. We have 140 million housing units, 125 million occupied households, 42 million renter households, and 22 million single-family rentals. Out of this lower stat to the right indicates the percentage of institutional investors versus mom and pop. 77% of investors across this country that own rental properties, 77% own 1 to 2. My challenge to you guys is which bucket are you guys in on this section? 0 to 1, 1 to 2, or the 11% at 3 to 5, or the 5% at 6 to 10, or the 5% at 11 to 10. That should be, no, excuse me, that's that. Oh, whatever. And then 2% that owns 100 plus rentals, which are the institutions. So when I hear people say they're buying up everything, yes, they are. But the power isn't with the institutional investors, it's with the mom and pop, which also represents another opportunity, okay? I saw, and I believe there's a lot of people here in Jacksonville, I think JWB is an example of one, there's other people here I was talking to earlier that do build to rent. They acquire properties, they turn around and sell them to turnkey rentals to investors with the same exact strategy that I mentioned before. What is your goal, investor? How many years till retirement? And how much money do you need to bridge the gap? You guys follow me? All right. If only this thing would work in my schedule. All right. So, how many of you guys want to make more money? Not everyone? There we go, thank you. You? All right, cool. We're gonna talk about how you guys can potentially replace your income or add to your income stream, all right? I'm gonna tell you this is not for the person who's sitting over here going like this. There's no learning doing that, all right? This is not for the person that's looking for a get-rich-quick scheme, by the way. And what I'm going to show you at this level, I'm going to get it to a very granular how you guys can execute on this right now, especially with the GCs. So I changed the slide from the wave is coming to the wave is here, because it is here. Now, do you guys need a lot of money to do what I'm going to tell you? Not if you guys use your creativity. I believe real estate investors are pretty creative at doing deals. Am I right? Okay. Do you guys need great credit or formal education or all the fancy licenses that I have? No, not really. Use this. You don't need a real estate license either. It helps to have all that, by the way. Most certainly does help to have it, but you don't need it. So again, I've integrated all of these companies, and everyone who works with me has the ability to use all of these companies. But you guys can do the same exact thing on your own. Because all this right here started with this. That is a beautiful picture. I think I look better in person, but I'm referring to Switzerland. This is a gorgeous, 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 like this day was absolutely awesome. Do you guys know who Edward Barnes is? I know most of you guys have read a very good book that references this, okay? No one knows who Edward Barnes is? Okay. Whenever this thing works. Edward Barnes is the man who thought himself into a partnership with Edison. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? A poor guy who had nothing to offer, the greatest inventor of the time, said, one day I'm going to partner with you. And I have nothing to offer, but I'm going to partner with you. The man who thought himself into a partnership with Thomas Edison. Guys, when I'm speaking, I'm hoping to plant a seed in your mind, okay, that you guys need to water. You guys following me? Because through your mind, through your thoughts, and through your creativity, you guys can do literally everything. I have been in a position where I've had nothing, and I've created millions of dollars because I focused on the right problem. What you focus on grows. You focus on the problem in a negative way, you're only going to have more problems. If you focus on the problem and say, how can what kind of solutions can I create to this? My goodness, if you guys feed that side, it's impossible to fathom what you guys could possibly do. Okay? So here's what he didn't say. He didn't say, I'm going to work there for a few months and the guy doesn't give me a little pat on the back, I'm going to leave. No. The guy said, I'm going to figure out a way to work with you. I believe, what's the saying? I don't know if I have it on here. Yeah, made by Edison, installed by Barnes. Have you guys ever read, I think it's How to Win Friends and Influence People? They talk about the story. It's the first time I heard it. To me, it's a beautiful story. Because when I read that, my first construction company that I acquired, essentially, was from a gentleman who had to leave the country, who had a licensed general contracting business. And he says, I have to leave the country. I said, I don't. What can we do together, sir? And it's interesting, too, because when I went to qualify for my GC license, it turns out when they reviewed my application, the master permit for a job that qualified me for the license was active, but the portion, I guess it was another license, another permit, that expired 3 months earlier. I didn't have the experience by 3 months. You know what I did? I went to the first hotel that was being built that I saw. I walked into the job site. I said, hi, I work for you. He goes, no, you don't. I said, yes, I do. And I started picking shit up, and I started moving it over. Meanwhile, this is also me making 7 figures on my other business. This is me working overnight for free. This is also me being threatened that the cops are going to be called on me and I'm going to leave the property. I said, I'm not leaving until I get my experience. So I'm going to work for you for free. I'm going to pick up this bag. I'm going to drop it off over there. And I'm going to keep doing this until I earn your trust, sir. And I qualified.